And this summer, I happened to be sitting right here in Delhi, and I met with 3 young recent graduates, engineering graduates, who had developed a great idea for a very low-cost glucometer, okay, which could provide these blood glucose tests for under 5 rupees each. They needed money, they needed help to scale it up, etc. So I was just thinking in my mind, Parvati Devi's face came in front of me, and I said, if this had been available to her and to the millions like her when she had those problems, how different her life could have been. So that's the exciting thing about India. There are so many great innovations happening, and the innovations aren't just technological. There are more innovative ways of providing healthcare, of training ASHA workers, of doing low-cost diagnostics, and so on. But as we all know, there are thousands of innovations, but very, very few have scaled up. Very few have scaled up. The healthcare system is very complex. It's very resistant to change. And for some poor young person, man or woman who's working in 2 villages somewhere trying to do something, who has no resources, where do you go? How do you scale up, right? So although we have all this innovation happening all over, it's not easy. I believe, so all these challenges that are there, my own personal belief is that they can be overcome. And I've developed a simple 5-point plan, which I think is very practical, it's very down to earth, and over the next 8 or 10 years, if all of us are able to get together behind this plan, I believe we can make a difference. And it's very simple. There's no rocket science over here. Number 1, out of all of these thousands of healthcare innovators in the country, let's identify the 300 to 500 most promising ones. Let's identify them, and then let's support them, and let's give them the know-how, the support systems, the linkages to the government programs, everything that they need to scale up. We can do this. Very simple. So let's identify the most promising innovators. Number 2, scaling up takes know-how, etc., but it takes a lot of money. And each of these innovators, to help them scale up, you probably need early stage funding of somewhere in the region of $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. So my second point is the following. Why don't we raise in India a $200 million fund strictly for healthcare innovation to go to these 300 to 500 innovators that we found, the promising ones. Right now, that money isn't there. There are many early-stage venture capitalists. There are many social venture funds like Acumen, like Avishkar, like Grassroots, and so on. But they're all fairly small. They cut across multiple sectors. So the amount that's actually gone into healthcare over the last 5, 6, 7 years is really tiny compared to the need. If we are able to raise $100 million or $200 million only focused on healthcare innovation, we can go a very, very long way. So that's the second point. The third point is if you look at all of India, and you look at all of the healthcare challenges that we have in India, they are very focused. There are 6, 7, 8, 9 states in northern India, we all know which ones they are, that account for most of our disease burden, that account for most of our infant mortality, most of our maternal mortality. Let's engage with those state governments in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, in Odisha, in Bihar, and so on, and let's work in close partnership with the state governments specifically to improve their primary healthcare delivery system. Primary healthcare is where the poor people, everyone comes into contact with the healthcare system. In many parts of these states, that healthcare system is dysfunctional, but there are very interesting approaches being tried which can improve this dramatically. So we have just signed a partnership, WISH has just signed a partnership, for example, with the state of Rajasthan, where we've identified a set of very specific interventions that we are going to bring in. They will be turning over some of their worst performing healthcare centers to us. We are bringing in partners like Karuna Trust, like Narayana Health, like ZMQ in the mobile space, Hewlett Packard for software, hardware, a really great group of partners to address this issue of how do we get this primary healthcare system to deliver better. Because right now, because that system doesn't work, people are forced to go to district hospitals for secondary care, for tertiary care, and we know that is much, much more expensive. It's more difficult to access, but it's much more expensive. So that's the third point. Let's work in close partnership with the state governments in these high priority states to improve the primary healthcare delivery system. Fourthly, to make sure this isn't just a short-term thing, let's try and create, this will take some time, but let's try and create a large-scale, ongoing ecosystem in India for healthcare innovation. Let's bring together, as we are today, let's bring together innovators, policy experts, philanthropists, venture capitalists, let them connect, let them collaborate. Let's organize health awards for the most innovative people. Let's do Grand Challenge Awards for areas where we need innovation and we don't have it. We can pull together certain universities and other institutes into networks for developing innovation. So there are a lot of things we can do. It's kind of the kind of thing that you see in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley, to me, is the ultimate innovation ecosystem. I go there frequently. My company, we have offices there and so on. And what you see there is just this. It's this magical ecosystem where people connect, collaborate, but they, of course, do it in all industries. And what I'm suggesting here is let's do that in the area of healthcare specifically, and soon, over the next 2, 3, 4 years. And then fifthly and finally, let's build a knowledge hub. Right now, when I talk to innovators around the country, they don't know who to connect with, who's doing what. I might be in this village in Uttar Pradesh, but someone else is doing something similar in Bihar, but I don't know they exist. Let's develop a knowledge hub where people can connect, collaborate, we can see what interventions are working, and so on. So those are the 5 very simple points. Identify the 300 to 500 most promising healthcare innovators, help them scale. Number 2, let's build a $200 million fund strictly for early stage healthcare innovation. Number 3, let's partner with the state governments in the highest priority states to improve the primary healthcare system and bring these innovations in over there to help do that. Number 4, let's build this national ecosystem for healthcare innovation. And number 5, let's build this knowledge hub as we go forward. So it was this thinking that developed, as I visit India over the last several years, I've met, in fact, with many of you, and thanks to you, these ideas evolved and developed, and that's what led to the foundation of WISH. WISH has been around now for a very short period of time, for about 5 or 6 months. We've been very fortunate that we got Soumitra Ghosh on board as our CEO. We've got a team of about 15, 16 people right now in Delhi, near Connaught Place, and we're growing. Over the last few months, we partnered with the IFC, part of the World Bank, and we've done the first ever mapping in India of who the healthcare innovators are. So we've identified about 200 to 250 of them. From those, we've narrowed down to the 15 or 20 or 25 most promising ones, and those are the ones we are going to be starting to work with very, very quickly. We're in the process of raising a $100 million fund to make this happen. This is on our own, and we are already talking to a core group of partners who would come in and match the capital that WISH is putting into this, so we can kickstart this fund, hopefully very quickly within the next 3 or 4 months, and then we can start giving out the money. I mentioned we've just signed a partnership with Rajasthan that just happened, and now following that, we'll be talking to states like Madhya Pradesh and so on. So, with all of this in place, I just go back and think of that lady that I mentioned a few minutes ago in Rajasthan that I met a few years ago, Parvati Devi, and I just revisit that if that situation were happening 2 or 3 years from now. And these 3 or 4 young engineers who had come up with this idea of this low-cost glucometer has now raised money, they've gotten help, they've linked into government programs. At the same time, states like Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh and others have said, yes, we want to adopt these innovations and scale them up. They've trained their ASHA workers in how to use them. So now when a Parvati Devi goes and she tells her ASHA worker, look, these are the symptoms I'm having, the ASHA can say, here's a simple test. I've been trained in how to do it. I'll give it to you. She knows what the solution is, and she knows what to do. Multiply that millions of times over and think of the impact that we can have in this country. And the time has never been better. So in closing, and we were all talking about this, every conversation I've had this morning has been about this, which is that the time has never been better than now to get this done. The innovators are there, the funding is available, the political environment has never been better, both at the central and at the state governments. Our citizens are demanding this, so it's up to us and step up and do it. So I thank you so much for being here, and with your support, working together, we will get this all done. Thank you.
My next speaker is a very well-known, very eminent person, Dr. Katoch. He's the Secretary, Department of Health Research, and he's the Director General, ICMR. Many of you know him pretty well. Just for everybody's sake, a few words about him. He's an eminent scientist and a versatile administrator. He brings with him more than 35 years of experience in the health sector. He's an MBBS and MD by training. Dr. Katoch has been a developer of modern methods of rapid diagnosis of TB, leprosy, DNA chips, DNA fingerprinting methods, and has contributed to expansion of mandate of JELMA from leprosy to all microbacterial diseases. Currently, he's serving in the prestigious position of Secretary, Department of Health Research, and Director General, ICMR. Dr. Katoch, please. Thank you.
Namaskar. I regret that I won't be able to talk for long because I have another engagement after this. I had a misunderstanding about the timings. After listening to Wadhwani ji, there's a lot of, you feel excited of a drive of an individual for the motherland, for the suffering people, and to change the situation for better. We applaud you, sir. It's wonderful to listen to you. And we certainly wish you good luck, because wishing you good luck means wishing good luck to each of us. Your mission is well focused. Actually, there's no question. You are very clear on how you want to change the things. And whatever the contribution will come from this foundation, but little contribution will come from this movement, will be a very positive contribution. We have no doubt on that part. We will certainly be partners. We certainly will try to encourage the movement towards a better India. India which solves its problems, and India which contributes to the global health same time is a common dream. Looking at the innovation, we in India have been talking about that. It's not that we have not been talking about. Government agencies have been trying to push their money also, and quite often wasteful expenditure because it didn't lead into many places. Question is why the things have not changed. You look at the health side, things have changed. From a 30-year average lifespan to 70 years, it is totally changed actually. Nearly, I think 26 of the 35 states of the Union have achieved the MDG goal already. Some achieved 10 years back. So the same medical education, same type of the clinical practices, same type of the preventive services clicked very well in 26 states. They have not clicked in the remaining 9. And the situation in at least in 3 is worse than the sub-Saharan Africa actually. That's a shame actually. You have areas which are as developed as Europe, and you have the areas which are worse than the sub-Saharan Africa. That's the extreme we represent actually. And that's the examples you talked about, and their reality actually. That's where we want to bring a turnaround, because bringing a turnaround there, those people are struggling. They are struggling to emerge as a useful citizens, to have better lives for them, for their families, and to contribute to the nation actually. But they are struggling. They always that time they go down the line, mostly because of the health actually. And this disparity in the India between 0 to 100, that creates a trouble. Now the institutions which we have, our medical colleges, 400, and many of them in the government sector, at least if we look at the top 30 institutions in the last 10 years, the 24 out of 30 or 25 out of 30 or 26 out of 30, they have been in the government sector. So government institutions are still the best. There's no question on that part actually. There are a lot of private institutions have emerged. They cater to a segment of society. They cater a segment need, but they are limited. Their goals are limited. So these are 4 or 5 private institutions who have been right in the forefront of innovation of in terms of clinical practices, better clinical care, better surgical methods, better everything. What remaining are, okay, they are doing whatever they are doing. I don't want to comment because being a government official, I can't comment. I don't want to comment on that. But the situation arises on the innovation front. CSIR has funded, DST has funded, DBT has heavily funded, ICMR has tried to do a little bit. But things have only marginally changed. Few things happen, they don't go beyond a point actually. We have been talking of the innovation for everything. We are talking innovation. We know the targets, which are the limitations. We know all of them. But they go to a point, they don't go beyond that. Somewhere there was a fault with the regulatory systems. They were very weak, very harassing actually, in fact actually. They're very unfair to Indians. That's the third point. They're very fair to anything you import. Okay? Anything to be imported in India and to be marketed or anything to bring a brand name from outside, it was very easy to come. But to innovate in India faces a tough task actually. He has to struggle here and there. They'll keep on bumping from one place to other. Those things were very bad years back. They have gradually improved actually. So today's to get approvals and particularly to get anything done is not that difficult as it was earlier actually. And after I think the amendment in the clinical trials, that is the drug regulatory bill actually, which should happen soon. Even for devices also, the situation will be very simple. Earlier it was a tough actually, because nobody knew anything actually. They're referring one committee to another and keep on wasting time. All hazy, and innovators used to give up. Companies, small startup companies used to give up. Well, that I said that has changed and is changing every day, and with the present Prime Minister very, very much focused on innovations. This will change within months, I tell you, because he's a driver, and the things, people listen to him. His emotional appeal is very strong. So I think those the things are changing on that front also, regulatory front. Now question arises, why we could not do that many things? A number of things they come, we call. So it's not the government was all that at fault. It's not the lack of money also, Dr. Badwani ji, I tell you. This is not the lack of money also. I tell you, these government agencies have pushed a lot of money. Now when we gave a call for this actually, the translation research, when I moved to the Delhi, has received a thrust under me also in my department. Tried to bring the many things to the forefront. Genetic testing, the methods for this glucose, number of things we gave a call and people came out with it actually. And so almost 100% people have got the money, they wanted it actually. The question was, it's not the lack of money which was the sole driver. It is the total ecosystem going beyond. An ecosystem which could have forced the government to do the things better, faster. These things should have, for the stem cells, for the other appliances, small things, which should have come 10 years earlier also. They have taken 10 years later actually, because there were no drivers, there were no pushers. Most of the time people will import something and they feel happy actually. Indians suffer from a tremendous complex of foreign. You see, anything which may be a dirt, junk from outside, they'll eat it actually, or any appliance from outside coming, any lens come outside, they'll use it. That psychology in the medical fraternity, that psychology in the system, I think that was the major blocker of the innovation system in this India. Indian innovation was not respected. Let it be very frank. Whatever my other colleagues who have been in the CSIR or the DST other may say, Indian innovations were not respected for long years. We kept on saying same, but we didn't respect it. So I think that all is changing now. India is emerging of its own. We want our rockets to fly. We want our techniques to be there. So India is coming out of that slavery mentality, and it moved quite a bit. Now question arises, which innovation you will give a thrust. We will partner with you also. I'll see the government system now within all the 8 science departments have one intersectoral coordination committee of secretaries in my department actually. So, and the senior most secretary chairs that. So under that, anything may be done by anybody, by ICR or looking for the pesticide, something for the food safety, something for the food pathogens, may be done by anybody actually, which is to be done in the periphery, which is to be done in a larger scale, may be done by Ministry of Environment, may be done by DST, may be done by anybody. There's a common Department of Space also. So we have now common mechanisms where we don't waste. Otherwise, for the same thing, a person would get money from 10 people and he'll come to a philanthropist like you also, I don't have money. So there are a lot of, those people who want to engulf money. They are not the genuine people, I tell you. Okay. So that's those people who are originally really doing good job and they get a complementary funding, that system is emerged already. So along with that system and this foundation, you will make your drive, it will be a very strong ecosystem for the country. So your partnership today coming here, Dr. Srivastava really forced me, because at this moment of time, at 9:30, I was speaking in an Indo-US summit there actually. He persuaded me to come here. He said, no, there's a better platform to come in the morning here. So I think I never knew anything about it. So after listening to you only, I understood what it's all about. Though Himani explained to me a little bit. So the question is, today that ecosystem exists. That exists in the government drive. But in the private, it will be more of, seeing the results, introducing them into the system like what you're doing in Rajasthan. That is same you will be doing elsewhere. So those innovations, many of them may be procedural ones. Innovation means on the environment, which the Swachhata Abhiyan is all about. How you can make the techniques which you can make the environment cleaner and cleaner. Now, for example, a technology which will work in the desert will not work in where there is a lot of water actually, and vice versa actually. So what technology you want for the places to be safe, environment to be healthy in Rajasthan, Bisebis, in Gujarat, some actually area, Tarai area, other area. So I think that those needs a very different mindset actually. So number of inventions you can choose. We will do all complementary things actually, I tell you. We don't want the people to snitch with the same money. I had seen that, I tell you. In many Indian laboratories, they started getting more and more money from these agencies, and their performance went down, tremendously down. Those guys were just busy in building their laboratories, air conditioners, and so they were doing good work when they had less money, more money, and less work. So, and they were very busy showcasing their laboratories, their equipments, and everything. So I think question will be tomorrow. We create a drive. So your goals number 2, 3, 4, 5, they are far more important than goal number 1. But okay, goal number 1 is required to be creating a core structure by which there can be strength to push it. Then the question will be rising, which ones? I think your focus is very right. Our focus is also the same. When we're thinking of the affordable technologies, for example, the strips which our funding brought about, and we released this January, February, they were all costing 2 rupees, 3 rupees, 4 rupees. So one more will join, will make it a better choice. Some more will join, they will make a better choice. But tomorrow we need a glycosylated hemoglobin testing by strips at an affordable cost, because the people are to be managed for diabetes in the periphery. So instead of having a detection system, let's push more money on the measuring for the glycosylated hemoglobin for measurement actually. Some easier detection of cancer in the periphery. Cancer has gone like this actually. Why it has gone that we have to investigate that. But